Welcome to EduTap and welcome to today's session. So today the session is regarding the RBI notifications and the RBI press releases. Today we are going to have the complete revision of the RBI notifications and the RBI press releases for the April 2024. So you know that how important this month is, and for this month, for April 2024, the important RBI notifications and the important press releases we are going to discuss, we are going to revise them. I hope you have come prepared because the MCQs are going to be the tough level also, the moderate level also, but I hope you will be able to answer the tough questions also. So good evening everyone. Good evening Saurish, Padmini, Nitya, Ritika and Priya. Welcome to the session, and let's start with the session without any delay. And today we will have the complete revision for the April 2024. So before starting with the session, do subscribe to the YouTube channel of EduTap as well as join our Telegram channel where you will get the PDF of today's session. So you will get the PDF of today's session in the Telegram channel. So I hope you have come prepared. So let's start with the first question and let's see that you are able to answer the question or not. So the Reserve Bank of India in April 2024 has released the primary urban cooperative bank outlook. So regarding this outlook, there are the data points that have been released. So which of the following data points are actually incorrect that you have to tell me? So let's see how many of you are able to answer this question. So try to answer this question. So advances for the urban cooperative banks in the financial year 23, that is 2022-23, amounted to rupees 2.2 trillion, up from rupees 1.73 trillion in financial year 2022. So that is correct, that there is the increase that has happened from 1.73 trillion to 2.2 trillion. Okay. Now the majority of the advances of the urban cooperative banks in the priority sector has directed towards the MSMEs, the micro and small enterprises. Okay, so here it is not correct. The urban cooperative banks had already achieved 66.88% of their total PSL target in financial year 23. So actually their target was 60%, but they have achieved more than 60%. And for the scheduled commercial banks, the target is 40%, but they have achieved more than 40%. So for the scheduled commercial bank, the PSL was, the priority sector lending was 44.7% in financial year 2022-23. Okay, so that is on March 31st, 2023. This is the data point. So this is also correct. So the first and third statements are actually correct. So only second statement is incorrect. So the answer is D here. So the answer is D here. Okay. So now this statement is also correct. The first and third statements are correct. Only the second statement is incorrect. So you have to tell that which is the incorrect statement as per the data points that have been given in the outlook. So this is the data point that is also given in the outlook. Okay. So now moving ahead, so we have seen that this is the lending that has happened to the priority sector, that is 66.88% of the lending has happened to the priority sector by the urban cooperative banks. Okay. So here you can see the data points which we have already discussed, and here you can see that the RBI has reported the advances for the urban cooperative banks that has gone up to 2.2 trillion. So the data point here you can see that for the urban cooperative banks, the lending was 66.88% to the priority sector lending, and for the scheduled commercial banks, the lending was 44.7% to the priority sector. Okay, so this is the data points that we have already discussed. Now coming to the next question, I hope you will be easily able to answer this question also. Yes, so try to answer this question. As per the recent primary urban cooperative bank outlook, which of the following statement is or are correct that you have to tell me? So which are the correct statements? So the first statement, gross non-performing asset improved compared to previous year from 10.27% to 8.84%. So that is correct. That means gross non-performing assets have declined. So that is correct. Net NPA has improved compared to previous year. That means it has declined to 2.15%. So this also seems correct. PCR improved from 71.33% to 85%. Is it true? Is it true? No, this is incorrect. It is around 75%. The highest number of urban cooperative banks are present in Maharashtra, So that is correct. The graph we have seen that yes, the highest number of UCBs are present in Maharashtra and total number of urban cooperative banks in India are 1502. Out of this, how many are the scheduled urban cooperative banks and how many are the non-scheduled urban cooperative banks? Anyone can tell me? Anyone remembers this? So here the first, second and the fourth statement are correct and that's why the answer is E here, because the third statement and the fifth statement are incorrect. Okay, so here, yes. So the scheduled urban cooperative banks, there are in total 51 scheduled urban cooperative banks and the non-scheduled urban cooperative banks are, yes. So here you can see that 51 out of the 1502 urban cooperative banks, there are scheduled urban cooperative banks, that is 51, and the non-scheduled urban cooperative banks are 1451. Okay, so total number of urban cooperative banks are 1502, out of which 51 are scheduled and 1451 are non-scheduled. So this is the idea and the data points we have already discussed. Okay, so the provisioning coverage ratio has improved from 71.33% to 75.73%. If you want to know more about the provisioning coverage ratio and such, you can see the complete session on the outlook of the primary urban cooperative banks. Okay, so now coming to the next question, but before that we have seen that Maharashtra has the highest number of urban cooperative banks. So this was the graph that I have shown you in my session, right? Now coming to the next question, so try to answer this question. Try to answer this question. So existing guidelines permit dash to use only interest rate futures for the purpose of proprietary hedging. So proprietary trading happens that the bank is using its own resources for the investment purposes, or the bank is using its own capital, its own money for the investment purposes. Now there is some interest rate risk that is present. So to hedge that interest rate risk, to reduce the interest rate risk that is present, there is the hedging that happens. So through the hedging, the interest rate risk are reduced. Through the hedging, the risk are reduced. So for the reduction on the proprietary risk on the interest rate, so for reducing the interest rate risk on the proprietary trading, there is the proprietary hedging that is happening. So before it was said by the RBI that the small finance banks are the one that can only use the interest rate futures for the hedging purposes, but now they have said that the other derivatives also can be used. So why only futures? The small finance bank, why they were only able to use the futures? So remember that the futures are the ones that are traded in the exchanges, like the stock, like the NSE and the BSE, National Stock Exchange and the Bombay Stock Exchange. The forwards, they are the over the counter derivatives. So the small finance banks were not able to use the forwards and they were not able to use the swaps and such. But now they will be able to use more of the derivatives such as the futures, forwards and such. So I hope this is understandable that it was the small finance bank that were doing the proprietary trading. That means they were using their own resources, their own capital to engage in the trading activities to do the investment. Now they have to hedge they have to reduce their interest rate risk. So before they were only able to use the interest rate futures, but now it has been said by the RBI that the small finance banks can use more of the derivatives, okay, for their hedging purposes. So this is the news article. I hope this is understandable. Now coming to the next notification of the Reserve Bank of India, coming to the next press release of the Reserve Bank of India. The Reserve Bank of India has launched the 65th round of the order books, inventories and capacity utilization survey that happens for the manufacturing sector, that how many orders they have received, how many new orders they have received, what is the level of inventories that they have. So for these manufacturing sector, the OBICUS is the survey that happens, okay, in the quarterly basis. So you have to tell me that the Reserve Bank of India has been conducting these surveys since when? So that is 2008. Very good. So see, the OBICUS survey, it is not very important, but you need to have the minimum of the information regarding this, that there was the direct point that was given here that it has been conducted since 2008. So RBI can ask such kind of questions, because this was also mentioned in the newspapers. Okay, so be aware about the static idea, at least, that from when the surveys started. Now coming to the next question, so read the question carefully and try to answer this question. This is from the key fact statement. Okay. So here it has been decided to harmonize the instructions on the key fact statements. This is being done in order to enhance the transparency regarding the charges from the customers. So first of all, what are the new guidelines and what is the update in the key fact statement? So that you have to tell me. So the harmonized instructions shall be applicable in cases of all the retail and MSME loans. So that is correct. The first statement is correct. The charges recovered from the borrowers by the regulated entities. So the banks or the NBFCs, they are recovering the charges. So there is the key fact statement. The RBI has said that all the banks and the NBFCs, whoever is lending to the retailers, whoever is lending to the MSMEs, so they have to provide the key fact statement in which all the information regarding the interest rate will be mentioned, all the information regarding the charges will be mentioned, and this will be shown in the form of APR. So APR is the annualized percentage ratio, that is all the charges, all the interest rate, whatever is the cost of that borrowing. So that has to be mentioned in the percentage form as per the APR. Okay. So charges recovered from the borrowers by the regulated entities, let it be the banks or the NBFCs, whoever is doing the lending to the retail and the MSMEs. So they have to mention all the charges, all the interest rate in the key fact statement. Okay. And these legal charges, insurance charges, any charges that is being taken by the regulated entities, even on behalf of third parties also, this should also be part of the APR. Okay. The KFS shall be provided with a unique proposal number. So the key fact statement has to be provided, and it has to be provided with a unique proposal number, and shall have a validity period of at least 3 working days for loans having tenure of 7 days or more, and a validity period of at least 1 working day for loans having tenure of less than 7 days. So this is correct, that the validity period is 3 days for the loans that have the tenure of 7 days or more, and 1 day validity period of KFS, that the sign has to be taken from the borrower within 1 day if the loan is having the tenure of less than 7 days. So here the first and the third statements are correct, and you have to find the correct statement. So 1 and 3 is the answer here. So the answer is B. Okay. So this is the answer. We have done the KFS. We have completed the KFS directions in our session also. So I hope you remember the key fact statement. Okay. Annual percentage rate. This is the rate that includes the interest rate as well as all the charges that the bank is charging, that the NBFC is charging for the loan. So the total cost of loan to the borrower, what is the total cost of loan to the borrower, is mentioned as the APR, annual percentage rate. I hope you remember this. Now coming to the next. So if you want to take a screenshot, you can take it. Otherwise, the PDF will be provided in the Telegram channel also. Okay. Now coming to the next question, that is regarding the unauthorized entities offering foreign exchange. So recently RBI has released a press release regarding the unauthorized entities that were releasing the foreign exchange, that were doing the foreign exchange transactions, or they were trading in the foreign exchange. Okay, so try to give the right answer of this question. So I hope you remember that it is only the authorized dealers in our country. Okay, authorized dealers in our country, they are the ones that can convert the rupees into the foreign currency or the foreign currency into rupees. So authorized dealers are the category 1 authorized dealers, category 2 authorized dealers, category 3 authorized dealers. Then there are the FFMCs also, that are the full-fledged money changers. They can also change your rupees to the foreign currency and foreign currency into rupees, but they have some guidelines that they have to take the approval from the Reserve Bank of India. So in our country, it is only the authorized dealers as well as the full-fledged money changers. They are the ones that can convert your rupees into the foreign currency and foreign currency into the rupees. But there are some private entities or the individuals that have started converting your rupees into foreign currency and such. Illegally this is happening because they are not having the approval from the RBI. So in this regards, the RBI has released the notification. Okay, so the foreign exchange trading facilities are being provided to the Indian residents with promises of excellent returns, huge returns. Okay, in this context, the attention is derived for the authorized dealer category 1 banks. So the category 1 banks are the highest level of authorized dealers that can convert the rupees into foreign currency and foreign currency into rupees for all kind of purposes. So the attention is derived to the authorized dealer category 1, that they have to take into account, they have to take care of that no person shall deal in or transfer any foreign exchange or foreign security to any person not being an authorized person. So only the authorized dealers, only the authorized persons such as the full-fledged money changers and such, only they should be able to transfer or they should be able to convert the rupees into foreign currency and such. Okay, unless under general or special permission of the Reserve Bank of India, unless RBI specially mentions some new entity, until then this is the norm that only the authorized persons are they are able to convert this. Okay, a person resident outside India may not enter into a foreign exchange derivative contract with a authorized dealer or recognized exchanges. No, there is no such norm. The person resident outside India, they can enter into the foreign exchange derivative contract with the authorized dealers or recognized exchanges only, not personally with the resident Indian. They cannot do it personally. Through the authorized dealers, through the recognized exchanges, they can enter into the foreign exchange derivative contract only through these authorized dealers or the recognized exchanges. So this is wrong. No entity shall operate an ETP without obtaining prior authorization of the Reserve Bank. So no entity shall operate the electronic transfer platform. Okay, so this cannot be operated without the authorization of the RBI. So here the answer is C. 1 and 3 are correct. So you have to find the correct answer. So 1 and 3 are correct here. So here you can see that no person shall deal in or transfer any foreign exchange unless they are the authorized person or they have some special permission from the RBI. A person that is resident in India or they are resident outside India may enter into a foreign exchange derivative contract with an authorized dealer or recognized exchanges only. No entity shall operate an electronic trading platform without obtaining the prior approval of the RBI. So if you want to run an electronic trading platform, you need to take some authorization from the RBI. So this is the complete news article. You can read the notification also. This was the crux of the notification. Okay. Now coming to the next news article or the next notification of the Reserve Bank of India, in which the RBI said that we are not starting with the counter-cyclical capital buffer because we are not in a tough position. But what is the meaning of counter-cyclical capital buffer? What are the norms of the counter-cyclical capital buffer? So you should be aware about that. So try to give the right answer of this question, that is regarding the framework on the counter-cyclical capital buffer. Okay, so try to give the right answer of this question. Okay, so I have started getting the answer. So I can see that you people are getting faster and faster. So that is good to see. So the credit to GDP gap shall be main indicator in the counter-cyclical capital buffer framework in the India. So credit to GDP gap, that should be the main indicator. That is correct. It is the main indicator in the counter-cyclical capital buffer. Okay. The lower threshold. So what is credit to GDP gap? We have discussed this, that what is the current credit to GDP ratio minus what is the long term credit to GDP ratio. So this is the credit to GDP gap. If in the short term there is too much credit to GDP ratio that is there, if the credit to GDP ratio is very high as compared to the long term trend, then the gap will be high, and when the gap will be high, the CCYB will be initiated. The counter cyclical capital buffer will have to be maintained by the banks because they are giving too much credit as compared to the GDP. The lower threshold of the credit to GDP gap where the CCCB is activated shall be 3 percentage points. That means if there is the difference, if the credit to GDP ratio in the short term in this year is let's say 12%, while in the long run we expect the credit to GDP ratio should be 6%. So you can see that the difference, the gap is 6%. So if the gap is higher than 3%, or if it is 3%, then the CCCB will be initiated. So the lower threshold of the credit to GDP gap when the CCCB is activated shall be 3 percentage points, provided that the gross non-performing asset remains significant. So if the credit to GDP ratio is higher in the short run as compared to the long run, as well as if the gross non-performing asset is also significant, then the CCYB, that is the counter-cyclical capital buffers, will be initiated and will have to be maintained by the banks. Okay, the CCCB may be maintained in the form of a common equity tier 1 capital, that is a form of very liquid capital. So in this form, the CCCB buffers have to be maintained by the banks. Okay, and or other fully absorbing capital only, and the amount of the buffers may vary from 0 to 2.5%. So if the risk is very less, so less buffers will have to be maintained. If the risk is at the highest level, so the 2.5%, that is the highest of the additional buffers, the counter-cyclical capital buffers will have to be maintained. This is a percentage of the risk-weighted assets of the banks. The internal working group of the Reserve Bank of India under the chairmanship of who was the chairman? So it was not Raghuram Rajan, it was someone else, that is Shri B. Mahapatra. Very good. So it was Shri Mahapatra who was the chairman of this council, of this committee, and he has given the implementation. He has given the recommendation with his committee for the implementation of the CCCB in July 2014. The upper threshold where the CCCB reaches its maximum is 15 percentage points of the credit to GDP gap. Okay, so this is the complete idea. You can see that it was the chairman of the committee was Shri B. Mahapatra that had submitted the final report on the implementation of the counter-cyclical capital buffer in July 2014. And we have discussed the complete idea of the counter-cyclical capital buffer in our session also. Okay. So this is what we have discussed, everything that the CCCB decision would normally be pre-announced by the Reserve Bank of India with a lead time of 4 quarters, and then the banks will have to maintain it after from then onwards. Okay. So now coming to the next question. So I hope you will be easily able to answer this question. So try to answer this question. So here, recently the Reserve Bank of India has released the criteria for the conversion, for the voluntary transition of the small finance banks to the universal banks. So small finance banks are differentiated banks that have some responsibility to reach to the unserved or the underserved areas and to give the finance to these areas. But the universal banks are able to conduct various activities. Okay, so if a small finance banks want to convert into the universal bank, they have some criteria to be followed. So let's see how many of you are able to give the right answer. So everyone is saying E. So let's see. So scheduled status with a satisfactory track record of performance for a minimum period of 5 years. So that is correct, that the small finance banks should have a track record of 5 years of performance. Okay, a minimum net worth of rupees 1000 crores as at the end of the previous quarter. So this should happen. So the statement is incorrect. The net profit in the last 2 financial years. So that is correct, that the SFB should have the net profit in the last 2 financial years if it wants to transition into the universal bank. The gross non-performing asset of less than or equal to 3% in the last 2 financial years, and the net non-performing asset of less than or equal to 1%. It is not 2%, it is 1% in the last 2 financial year. So the second and the fifth statements are incorrect, and that's why E is the right answer here. So we have discussed the criteria for the transition of a small finance bank into the universal bank. So they have to follow these criteria if they want to transition from the small finance bank to the universal banks. Okay, now coming to the next question. So in the previous year in the RBI Grade B examination, this was a direct question that was asked. Okay, and recently a notification has been released in which it has been said that the limits are going to remain same as the previous limits for the foreign portfolio investment in the corporate bonds, in the government securities, and in the state government securities. So what are the limits? And let me tell you that this was a question that came, such direct question came in the previous year also. Okay, so 6%, 2% and 15% absolutely correct. So here the foreign portfolio investment limit is there in government securities, that is 6%. In the state government securities, that is 2%, and in the corporate bonds, that is 15%. So these are the limits for the 2024-25, same as the previous year limits. Okay, so this is the recent notification that was released. So these are the percentages that you need to remember. Now coming to the next notification, so a update has come in which the RBI has only updated this point. So now you have to tell me that what is this fill in the blank, what you have to fill in this fill in the blank. So try to answer this question. So it has been said that if a Indian entity or a Indian person, they are trying to raise the money outside, okay, they are listing their shares in the international exchange. Okay, let's say Tata is listing or Reliance is listing its shares in the international exchange. So they are going to earn some money if they have listed. So the international people will buy, the foreign investors will buy the shares in the international market, right? In the international financial market. So they will earn some dollars, they will earn, the Tata, the Birla, or let's say the Reliance company will earn some foreign currency. So that will be kept where? Similarly, if you are getting the loans, if you are getting the external commercial borrowing, so for a time being, if you are not bringing it to India, so in which account it will be kept? So I'm getting the answer D or C. So should it be D or C? So I'm getting most of the answer as C, so that is correct. So foreign currency accounts with a bank outside India. So if you are raising the money outside, or if you are getting the money outside, if you are collecting the money outside, until it is brought in India, or until it is being invested outside only, till then it will be kept in the foreign currency account with a bank outside India. So this is very easy. Just this paragraph was mentioned in the whole notification that you can see. Just this was mentioned that if you are earning, if you are raising the money outside, until it is invested outside only, or until it is brought back to India, it will be kept in the foreign currency accounts with the bank outside India. So this was the complete idea that was provided. Okay, now coming to the next question, that is, it had come to the notice of the Reserve Bank of India that a entity, a company having its registered office in a particular place, that is Haryana, is issuing the prepaid payment instruments, that is the wallets, without the authorization from the RBI, without the authorization under the Payment and Settlement System Act of 2007. So which is that entity? So we have discussed this also. So yes, very good. It is the Talk Charge Technologies that actually released the wallets without taking the permission from the RBI. Okay, so this is the answer here. So now coming to the next question, try to read this question and try to answer this. So I'm getting the answer here. Okay, let's see how many of you have answered it correctly. So see what happened. First of all, let me tell you the context here. Okay, so in January 5, 2024, the RBI released this directions, this notification, that the risk management and interbank dealings hedging of the foreign exchange risk. Okay, that if you are doing the foreign exchange, okay, let's say you are trading and you have to, after 3 months, you are exporting a product, and you are going to get dollars after 3 months, and you are expecting the dollar value to deplete or the dollar value to go down. So right now you are expecting that right now the dollar value is $1 equal to 100 rupees. Now you are expecting that after 3 months, when you will receive the money, then the dollar value will be $1.70 rupees. So you are expecting that the dollar value will go down. So you want to hedge your risk, you want to reduce your risk, you do not want to see your money getting depleted like this, right? You are going to receive dollars after 3 months. So what you will do? You will come into a foreign exchange derivative contract, that is a future, let's say, or that is a forward. So you have come into a future contract, or let's say in a forward contract, you will say that, okay, I will give $500 per dollar at 90 rupees, So that after 3 months, even if the price of the dollar is depleting to rupees 50 to rupees 40, you do not care. You are saying that, okay, I'm taking the risk, but my risk is reduced because if the price goes down below 90, so that will not affect me. So you are coming into this contract to hedge to reduce your risk in the foreign exchange market. Okay, so you are coming into a derivative contract, either the forward, future, swap, option, let's say any of them. Okay, so here this was the notification that was released for hedging of the foreign exchange risk, that you are able to hedge your foreign exchange risk through the different derivatives. Okay, it was said that these new directions are going to come into effect from April 5, 2024. Now what happened that on April 4, 2024, the new notification was released by the Reserve Bank of India. That what has happened, that the market participants are saying that to follow these new directions, especially in regards to the exchange traded currency derivatives. So exchange traded currency derivatives means that these derivatives that are traded on the exchange, on the National Stock Exchange, on the Bombay Stock Exchange. So there are some derivatives that are over the counter derivatives that are not traded in the exchanges. So there is no problem on the over the counter derivatives, but regarding the exchange traded derivatives, there are some problems that are being faced by the stakeholders, by the market participants. So the market participants said that we need some time in this regards to follow this direction, this complete direction. So the RBI said that, okay, we are extended the timeline from April 4, 2024 to May 3, 2024. That means by 1 month, not 1 month, yes, we can say 1 month extra time was given to the market participants, but the RBI said that we are not going to change the directions. This is the directions, that is the January directions that you have to follow. You can take an extra month. So this is what has come into the notification in the April 4, 2024. Now, in this notification that was released in April 4, 2024, it was reiterated by the RBI that if in regards to exchange traded currency derivatives, so these are the derivatives that are traded in the exchanges such as the National Stock Exchange, Bombay Stock Exchange. So the futures and the options are the ones. The future and the options are the one that are traded in the recognized stock exchanges, right? So the guidelines are that the recognized stock exchanges may offer the foreign exchange derivative contracts involving INR, involving Indian rupees. That is, you are hedging your risk for the conversion in between rupees and dollars. So you can do this. But if you are using a derivative where rupees are involved, you can only hedge your risk, you cannot do the speculation. That means the recognized stock exchanges, they can offer the derivative contracts involving Indian rupees. But if such derivative contracts are being offered, there should be only hedging that should be happening. The speculation that should not be happening. So what is the difference? Hedging is because you are getting, after 3 months, you are getting the dollars because you are exporting a commodity. So you are getting the dollars after 3 months that you want to convert into rupees after 3 months. So this is the trade that you are doing. This is you want to reduce your risk. But what if that you know that after 3 months the prices are going to go down, you have no risk, you just want to earn profits from the currency. So then you are coming into a derivative. So that should not happen when the rupees are involved, because the rupees derivative should not be treated as a speculative instrument. It should only be used for the hedging purposes. So it was said that the recognized stock exchanges may offer the derivative contracts involving INR to the users only for the purpose of the hedging contracts, only for the purpose of hedging. If the foreign exchange derivative contracts that are not involving INR, we do not care that what purpose they solve. They solve the hedging purpose, they solve the speculation purpose. So we do not care about there are no such restrictions as usage. But if you are taking it for if INR is involved, only use it for hedging. And there is a limitation also that the user, now limitation is that you do not have to show any document, okay, till the limit of 100 USD million in all the exchanges. So here the limit of USD 100 million is combined in all the exchanges where you do not have to show the documents that you are actually hedging. The RBI is like for something 7 lakh, like for 50,000, you do not have to show, when in the taxable income, you do not have to show the investment for 50,000. So that is taken that you have invested it somewhere. So such documents should not be shown here also for the hedging purposes if it is in the limit of $100 million in all the exchanges combined. Okay. Yes. So here you can see that the user is allowed to take hedging position, long position, short position. You want to buy dollars, you want to sell dollars against rupees, we do not care, without having to establish existence of underlying exposure. So there is no need of showing the document that actually the export is happening, that actually the money is going to come after 3 months. So there is no requirement of showing the documents up to the single limit of USD 100 million in all the exchanges combined, NSE, BSE, MSE, whatever the exchanges, the single limit is 100 million, that is for all the exchanges combined. Okay, across all the currency pairs involving the rupees. So only when the rupees are involved, only then the restriction is that it should only be happening for the hedging purpose, and then there is the limit put together and combined across all the recognized stock exchanges. So that is the idea. So this was said, this was reiterated in April 4, 2024. So you can see that how important this point is, that the RBI said that before the limit was $10 million per exchange, that is for the National Stock Exchange, $10 million, Bombay Stock Exchange, $10 million, but now there is the combined limit of $100 million for all the exchanges. And it was said that a person may enter into an exchange traded derivative contract involving the INR only for the purpose of hedging, not for the purpose of speculation. Okay, so as here participants with a valid underlying contracted exposure, they can continue to enter into the ETCTs involving the INR. They will not have to show, not have to show any documents, but they should have some underlying exposure. They should have some exposure, then only they will be hedging, right? So RBI can anytime can see that, okay, maybe this particular exporter or maybe this particular investor is doing something wrong. So they are under the limit, but they are doing something wrong. So collect the document from them. So RBI has this power in their hand that the RBI can collect the document if the RBI wishes so. So RBI will not ask the document if the limit, till the limit you are doing the investment or you are doing the derivative contract till the limit. But if the RBI thinks that there is something wrong that is happening, then the RBI can ask for the document. Okay, understood? So this is the whole idea. And here you can see that the collective limit has been the USD 100 million combined across all the recognized stock exchanges. So this is the whole idea that I wanted to provide to you. So this is the idea. Okay, so here in the risk management and interbank dealings, in this the OTC derivatives, the exchange traded derivatives, they are all discussed, but the RBI has said that in regards to the exchange traded currency derivatives, there is the limit that is there. There is the hedging, for only the hedging, the ETCDs can be provided if it is involving the INR. For only hedging purposes, these kind of ETCDs can be provided. Now coming to the next question. So recently we have discussed about the master direction on the asset reconstruction companies. So whenever we discuss about the net owned fund, they have the same meaning. For the ARCs, for the NBFCs, let's see that how clear your static is. So this is a static question that is also from the master direction of the ARC. So let's see how clear you are in regards to your static understanding also. So try to give the right answer of this question. A. I'm getting the answer A. Let's see. Rohit has given the answer A. No one else? What about your static concepts? You have to be clear about your static concepts with your current affairs, right? So let's see. So here, owned fund is the capital that you have, the paid up capital that the company has, the reserve funds that the company has, the investments that the company has done. So that is owned fund. Okay, that is owned fund. Other than your liabilities, what are the assets that you have? The complete money that you have. From that, you have to deduct the investment that you are doing in the shares of your subsidiaries, because this can be because of your personal agenda. So that means from the owned fund, you have to deduct the investment of the company. So here we are talking about the ARCs. So from the owned fund of the ARCs, you have to deduct the investment that you are doing in your subsidiaries, as well as you have to deduct the investment that you are doing in the shares of the companies of the same group. So ARC is, let's say, of Reliance Group and or some particular group, and the other companies are also from the same group. And then if you are investing in the shares of the same group, it is not your subsidiary, but it is from the same group. Even that investment has to be deducted if the investment is happening in the shares of the same group. So that also has to be deducted. Investment of the ARC in the shares of all other ARCs, so that is correct. So this has to be deducted. So here first is correct, third is also correct, the second was wrong because not of different group, same group. So that has to be deducted. Okay. Next is the book value of debentures. That means you have invested in the debentures, bonds, outstanding loans and advances made to your subsidiaries. So that has to be deducted, and this is correct. So that means you have to deduct the debentures, bonds and such for your subsidiaries, as well as you have to deduct the bond shares, bonds, debentures and loans and such to your same group, to the same group. Here different group is written, so this is wrong. So the second and fifth are wrong because this should be same group and not the different group. So that's why the answer is 1, 2 and 4. So answer is, 1, 3 and 4. 2 is wrong now. So 2 and 5th are wrong. So 2 and 5th are wrong because it should be same group and not different group. So 2 and 5 are wrong. That's why 1, 3 and 4 are correct. 1, 3 and 4. Okay. So I hope you understand that 1, 3 and 4th. These should be deducted from the owned fund to get to the net owned fund. Okay. As well as if it was same group, then these would have been correct, but they are not because they are written different group. So 1, 3 and 4 are actually the ones that are getting deducted. So here the B is the right answer. So if you see the net owned fund definition of the NBFCs, that is also the same. If you see the net owned fund definition of the ARCs, that is also the same. So always remember this, that whenever the master action is released, there are the definition section that is presented. So in the master direction, there are the definitions, and usually when I am teaching, I understand, I take into account that you are clear in your static area. So static usually is like you should be prepared about it, right? So in the master action, the definitions are given. You can read the definitions to see that how much you remember. So net owned fund is what? It is the owned fund. From the owned fund, you are reducing the amount, that is the investment in your own subsidiaries, the investment in the companies of the same group, the investment in all other ARCs also, that also you have to deduct, as well as the book value of debentures, bonds, outstanding loans, advances, deposits, that is with the subsidiaries of the company as well as the companies in the same group. So you have to deduct that to the extent such amount exceeds 10% of the owned fund. So this is the complete idea, this is the complete definition. So I knew that you can get confused. So remember that, read the question carefully and answer correctly also, okay? So this was regarding the ARCs that was given in the master action. Even if you see for the NBFCs, the thing is same. For always the net owned fund, this is for the NBFCs, for the ARCs, they have the same meaning. So this is a static concept that you must be aware about, okay? Now coming to the next question, I hope you will be easily able to answer this question. So now the questions are going to be easier because that was the toughest of the question. So here the master action has been released regarding the ARCs. So now you have to tell me that which of the following statement is incorrect. Okay. So first of all, to commence the business of securitization or asset reconstruction, the ARCs are going to require rupees 300 crores of the net owned fund. So that is correct. For the existing ARCs, the timeline has been provided. So they have to start maintaining 300 crores of the fund, of the net owned fund by March 31st, 2026. So that is also correct. ARC shall commence business within 6 months from the date of grant of certificate of registration. So that is correct. But they can get the extension up to 12 months, from the date of the grant of certificate of registration. So that is not 18 months, that is 12 months. Every ARC shall maintain on an ongoing basis a capital adequacy ratio of 15%. Okay, so that is your third and fourth statements were wrong, and that's why the answer is D here, because you have to find the incorrect statement. Okay. So now this is all that we have discussed, the CAR, the CRAR, as well as the provisions that have to be maintained. So all of this we have discussed. You can see the session on the master direction of the ARC. Now coming to the next question, see, usually the ARCs, the asset reconstruction companies, they should be engaged in the business of securitization and asset reconstruction. What is securitization? What is asset reconstruction? This we have discussed in the extended session of the master direction of the ARC. But the basic idea is that the ARC should be doing the securitization or asset reconstruction. But if they want to act as a resolution applicant in the insolvency and bankruptcy process, so for that they have to complete some of the criteria. Okay, so which of the following is the correct or are the incorrect criteria that you have to tell me? So I am getting the answer D, Nitya. So first of all, the ARC has a minimum net owned fund of 1000 crores. So it is not 500 crores but 1000 crores. A committee has to be built comprising of a majority of independent directors. Independent, because internal directors will cheat or they can cheat, right? So there should be independent directors that should be constituted. In respect of a specific corporate insolvency resolution process, the ARC shall not retain any significant influence over the company, over the corporate that is under the insolvency process after the 5 years. Okay, after the 5 years from the date of approval of the resolution plan. So first and second statements were wrong. In the first statement, it should be 1000 crores. In the second statement, it should be independent directors. The third statement is correct. That's why the answer here is, you have to find incorrect statements 1 and 2. So answer is B here. Okay. Now coming, so this is all the criteria that we have already discussed for the ARC to become the resolution applicant. Now coming to the next question. So try to answer this question. In the monetary policy statement of April 2024, there was the mention of the second advance estimates that was released by the National Statistical Office, that as per the second advanced estimates, the real gross domestic product has expanded at what percentage in 2023-24 on the back of buoyant domestic demand. So the real GDP has increased by what percentage, has grown by what percentage as per the second advanced estimates for the year 2023-24, that is the previous financial year. So that is 7.6%. Very good. Okay. So until and unless the third advanced estimates are released, till then the second advanced estimates are important. So you should at least have the basic of the idea, especially if it is mentioned in the Monetary Policy Committee document statement. Okay. So this was mentioned. The RBI has given this percentage for the next year, for this continuous financial year, that for the financial year 24-25, the economy is going to grow by 7%. So this is the assumption projection that has been given by the RBI. But as per the second advanced estimates, this is the projection that has been given for the previous financial year. Okay. Now coming to the next question. So it is again from the static also. So you have to tell that which is the correct answer here. So if the repo rate is 6.50%, you even do not need to remember the SDF and MSF. You should be able to tell that the SDF is less than the repo rate by 0.25% and MSF is greater than the repo rate by 0.25%. So SDF is going to be 6.25% and the MSF is going to be 6.75%. So here the answer is D. That is understandable. Okay. Now this is what we have discussed in the MPC. Now coming to the 18th question. So this is going to be your homework question. Recently in the Statement of Development and Regulatory Policies document that was released in the April 2024. So in April 2024, there was the document of Statement on Development and Regulatory Policies that was released, in which the sovereign green bonds were mentioned. Okay, that there is going to be the more investors that will be coming up. So now we have discussed in the complete session, we have discussed about the sovereign green bonds in length. So this is something that you must know. So this is a homework question that you can tell in the comment section. Now before discussing this, what we have to see that EduTap has brought for you a blog. So if you go to the edutap.co.in, you can go to the free materials section in which you will get the blogs. So in the blogs, there is the immense knowledge regarding the examination that has been presented to you. Okay. So if you go to the end of the page, here you can see that you can explore by topics. So you can read the blogs by topics. So if you want to get more knowledge about the exam information, you can go to this section regarding any of the exam. You can select like the RBI Grade B, NABARD Grade A, any examination. You can get the analysis, you can get the criteria, eligibility criteria, the tough level of the examination also. If you want to know about the strategy also, you can get to know about the strategy for different sections of the examination, for different components of the exam. If you want to know the success stories, if you want to know the strategy of the toppers, so that is also presented here in the form of blog. So you can read about the strategies that different toppers have adopted. Okay, so you can understand that how much information is provided here that you can use for your exam. Okay, so you just have to go to edutap.co.in and you have to go to the free materials, you have to go to the blogs and you can see the different blogs. Now for any examination it is there. Okay, if you want to join our Telegram channel, so at the end of the page you can join the Telegram channel so that you can get the PDF also. Okay, now coming back to the PPT and showing you this. So see, in the 2024 April month, these data points were released. Now why I have not brought the questions on this, because I do not want you to assume that you have to remember all the data points. Okay, just remember that if such kind of notification is coming, if it is coming just before the examination, just 1 month, 2 months before the examination, then they might be important. Okay, or at least if you want to read, just read the basic idea of this. Okay, because they were also in the newspapers, so it becomes a little important, but you do not have to go in depth, because in the finances there are the sales data that is given, leverage data that is given, expenditure data that is given. So it becomes very hard for you to remember all these data points, right? So you do not go in depth, just have the idea that what is the total paid up capital of these companies amounted to this much in March 2023, and which is accounted for this percentage of the total PUF of the NGNF public limited company. So you can just read this line that is given before starting with the other data points. So you can read this line, you can read it a little, but do not focus on remembering the data points, because then it will become very, very hectic for you to remember everything. Okay, so such data points, I know that there are too much of the sales, expenditure, leverage and such data points that are given, and they might seem important because they are the yearly data, but just have the basic idea. Just read it once and leave it, because you cannot remember each and everything, right? If it would have come before the examination, I might have told you to remember them, but for now I will say just read it once. If it is given in your documents in the RBI News tab, if it is given, just read it once and leave it there. Okay, okay, so this is it. Before leaving the session, one more thing that you have to do tell me that how much marks you have got out of 18, how much marks you have got, as well as do give me the right answer of the homework question. So do tell me that what mistakes you are making also, if you are making some mistakes. Okay, so now before ending the session, there is an announcement from EduTap that we have brought for you the comprehensive guidebook for the RBI Grade B. So if you want to know about the examination, the pattern of the examination, the syllabus of the examination, even if you want to get the previous year questions, so everything has been provided with this guidebook, and this is absolutely free of cost to reserve your time, to not waste your time. So efforts have been made. This is absolutely free of cost to save your time, to save your efforts, and you can easily download this guidebook. The link is provided in the description box below. Okay, so previous year questions are also provided with this guidebook, so that is a very good way for you to understand that what is the level of the examination. Okay, no, monthly bulletin, again you can read it for like a editorials you are reading. So you can read the monthly bulletin, but do not focus on remembering the facts, because you have to do the annual report, you have to do the financial stability report, you have to do the report on currency and finance, you have to do the report on trend and progress of banking in India. So how much data are you going to remember, right? So the data that have the least chances, do not try to remember that, because if you try to remember the data with the least chances, you are leaving the data, or you are forgetting the data with the highest of the chances to come in the examination, right? So if the data has least chances, give it least priority. Like, I will not say leave it, because I'm a faculty, so I cannot say you to leave it. That can be like not correct from my side. But read it only once, or just give it the minimum of the priority and just see it once. Okay. Annual report, yes. So RBI has announced in its 608th meeting that the annual report is approved by the Central Board of Directors, but it will take some time to be released, maybe from the RBI side, because usually it takes 1 week, 2 week time to be released. But it will be released in the next month. That is the assumption, because the RBI Central Board of Directors has approved it. Now, many of the students are asking about the income of the RBI. In regards to, so the income of the RBI, that how the RBI was able to transfer such huge surplus to the government. So see, what has happened, that the balance sheet of the RBI is released with the annual report. In the annual report, the balance sheet of RBI is released. So that's why I'm not telling you that how the income is generated, why this high of the surplus, because we have to see the data. If I tell you that because of this reason that the RBI is earning so high, that might not be correct, because I have also not seen the facts now. RBI has not released its annual report, and RBI is not sending the annual report to my home. So the point is that once I get the facts, then only I can tell you the facts. I do not want to say anything and that is coming to me as per my assumptions, right? So once the balance sheet is released for the RBI with the annual report, so with the annual report, the balance sheet of the RBI is released. So you can see yourself also that how we have earned so much, how RBI has earned such huge income, that it was able to transfer such huge surplus to the government. So with the annual report, the balance sheet will come of RBI, the income receipt will come of RBI, that you can see. Okay. So this is it from my side. Thank you for attending the session. Is there any other confusion anyone has? We have 2-3 minutes. If you have any confusion, I will take that. And you are most welcome, Nitya, for attending the session. You are most welcome. You are most welcome, Ritika. You are most welcome, Sorish. Thank you for attending the session. So thank you, everyone. You are most welcome, Rohit. Thank you for your appreciation. It means a lot. You're most welcome, Priya. So thank you for attending the session, everyone. Do tell me that how much marks you have got out of 18, and do tell me the right answer of the homework question also if you have not given it in the live chat. So do give the right answer of the homework question, and let's see that how many of you have got more than 15 marks out of 18. I'm not saying that you should you should be targeting 18 out of 18, but do not be sad if you are not able to get 18 out of 18. You are learning from your mistakes, right? So even 15 or more than 15 is good out of 18. So if you are getting 15 or more than 15, so that is a good thing. Okay. So you are most welcome, everyone, and thank you for attending the session. You are most welcome, Padmini. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for attending. I will be closing the session now. So thank you, everyone. And yes, one last thing, that tomorrow session, okay, so tomorrow you are going to have this 10 a.m. session, and that is going to be important because the RBI has recently launched a few of the platforms. So we will be discussing that in tomorrow's 10 a.m. session. So be available because it is going to be a little important, because direct facts can come in the examination from tomorrow's session. So that is it. Thank you very much for attending.